It's been a long time coming for Maguire Raske. He's scored 25 of his team's 37 touchdowns this year for a great senior season, but he did something this last Friday that earned him this week's Midco SN game ball. We're going to gush over him at the end of this video, but for now, let's get into some more of the top performers from last Friday. Let's start with Brandon Valley's two-headed monster. They made a strong case to get this week's game ball. Joe Colbeck tore apart the Harrisburg defense with 200 yards rushing. He was near perfect throwing the ball as well. In all, he threw for 2 scores and ran in 3 more. He had help as usual from Tate Johnson, who, like always, runs for close to 200 yards and, as usual, had multiple touchdowns. The Lynx piled up 63 points against the third-ranked Tigers, largely in part to Joe and Tate's big day. Tice Ortman has only played 22 quarters this year because his team is usually dominating. Last week they played a ranked team on the road, and they still had their way. Tice ran for 165 yards, threw a touchdown, and picked one off on defense. A big performance in their big win against Hanson. Tommy Thompson made a great business decision when he spread the ball around for 300 yards and 3 scores against Washington last week. He continues to carve up defenses and truck defenders with his runs as well. Time to talk about a few 9-man players that need some attention. Isaac Sumption. He might be the single biggest threat in the northeast part of South Dakota this year. He rumbled for 300 yards on the ground, and he threw for 40 yards as well. Plus, he picked off 2 passes on defense in their win over Hitchcock-Tulare. He is a handful. Reece Hetzel had a huge second half to blow past Lyman on Friday. He did most of his work after halftime to total 220 yards on the ground as his Philip Scotties beat the Raiders to get to 6-2 on the season. Grayson Hanson of Platte-Geddes has been doing it all season. He had quite the game against a really quality opponent in Parkston with 10 carries for 102 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also managed to throw 2 passes for 52 yards, including one of them for a touchdown, and he was dynamite on defense as usual. 12 tackles, 2 of those for loss, and he forced a fumble. Big performance for Grayson. Sam Schlebach might be the best 9-man player that you don't know about. He gets it done running, throwing, and on defense every week. Last week, he went up against Jones County White River and threw for 254 yards and 2 scores, and he ran for 157 and 2 more scores. He is a beast. Tyler Feldkamp is testing my rule of not getting a game ball twice in a season. He almost broke that rule. He had a crazy good performance in Watertown. He hauled in a 69-yard touchdown pass. Then on the next possession, he picked one off and took it to the house. He then hit the trifecta with a blocked field goal and then paired it with a scoop and score. Tyler, I see you. Ryan Wojcik only played half a game against Lee Deadwood, but he made his presence felt. He ran for 2 touchdowns, picked off 2 passes, and recovered a fumble in Tommy Moore's big win. Then there's Trevor Fitzgerald. He's been showing the rest of the state what he can do lately. Friday, he had a hand in 6 touchdowns. 4 of them were rushing touchdowns. He also passed a touchdown in, and then he took this kick return to open the second half all the way to the house. Fitz magic. Then there's Maguire Raske. This kid has been a varsity star for a long time. He's been on the wrestling team since he was 7th grader. He's been on the baseball team pitching since he was an 8th grader. He's been on the varsity football team since he was a 9th grader and starting since he was a sophomore. But he did something last Friday he hasn't done his whole career. He ran for 217 yards, a career rushing high for Maguire Raske to earn this week's game ball. He toted the ball 25 times for that 217 yards, and he got 3 touchdowns on the night. He found time to catch 2 more touchdowns as well. Raske helped his peer governors beat Mitchell 48-20, and he's finishing off a stellar career. He's already set the school record with 6 touchdowns in a game, and this year he's within 6 of the school record for most in a season. Keep on ballin', Maguire.